as we get started in this brand new year, and let me start out by saying Happy New Year to everybody. I'm blessed, honored, privileged, and just beyond grateful to have what we've built so far in this community with over 49,000 people in this audience. I'm ever thankful of all of you, ever more thankful. And I continue to be aware, that the more influence we have, the tighter we need to get, the more refined it has to be, and the more together we have to become, as we are so far. We're becoming unified. But we have to have a unified and sound message within the community. And we want to do that with prosperity. We want to do that with love. We want to do it with the 4 pillars as we go forward here in the new year. It's pretty simple to me: faith, compassion, integrity, and love. It's all we need to do in this community so we can go forward. And the best gift I can give you here in 2026 is to show you exactly what you need to look for confirmation or rejection this morning. Notice we're right back around the area we've been the last several days. Good news for XRP. We extended down to that $1.81 we've been talking about and held. So we didn't have to dip down any farther as of right now. And we're going to look through what we need to see to break out. I'm going to give you the gift of H-bar and tell you what you need to do if you're not in it, or if you hold it for confirmation, or if you're trying to figure out a good spot to buy in this falling wedge. And I'll also show you ALGO, which is up 5%, and we'll go through that. And we'll talk about deeper the Xxxa strategy, which is what I will be instilling in 2026 going forward as the pillar of my particular portfolio. You're going to hear about that a lot, but you're also going to see sound technicals, and I'm going to appreciate input from the audience as this new year goes forward. And I would like to see us continue to grow in a sense of we're not emotional based traders, but we're something so much better. We only base it on the technicals, and the technicals drive us into the news, and the news drives us back into the charts. So, we want to do it from actual sound understanding. This morning, there can be a lot of good, bad, emotionally charged feelings, and we'll get into it in just a minute. Good morning. 11:14 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Thursday, January 1st, 2026. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. So, I understand this might not be the best time to come on and do a live. New Year's Day, bunch of people hung over. We got college football playoff at noon. Not saying I'm rejoicing this morning, but the Buckeyes lost last night to Miami. And 1970 legend, I love you. But it would have hurt my heart to see the Buckeyes win back-to-back. Oh, buddy. So, good morning in that regard. I also have an update on the classes. I get asked a lot about what I'm going to do, how you can join them. And I simplified it. I figured out a much better strategy. I thought about it last night. My son was up until 4:30 in the morning with me. He's autistic. He has special needs, nonverbal and things like that. So we had a good night though. But I had an awe-inspiring moment where I figured out the classes, because I had a Zoom meeting, and there's so many restrictions. There's so many different countries, and it just, anyhow, we'll get into that in a little bit. But right now, let's talk about this. XRP at $1.8583. I love it. I love what we've been doing. I love the fact that I don't know what's going on with this chart, but I love the fact that it never gave this back. Oh, I see what was going on with this chart. It moved this. Oh, wait a minute. We were talking about this. That makes sense. Although it doesn't make sense, because why was it slanted? Hold on. Because we've already got that version of it. I want to see. Oh, it was in the 4-hourly. Never mind. Here's my sign this morning. But if we're looking for breakout, this is what we're looking for right now. If you're looking for confirmation, if you're looking for some identity here, if we can get over the $1.90 mark for XRP, that would be your cue to start paying attention here. That we're starting to rev up in the right direction. If you're not in, you're in no man's land right now. So let's go unified here. We'll get back to XRP real quick, but when we're talking about this, let's stay along the same line. H-bar. If you're looking for the breakout confirmation, we're looking for the push above, right above where we're at. So if you're not in, it doesn't serve you any purpose right now to get in until we start showing the ability to break up over that resistance on this, what looks like, would you guys say this is like a falling wedge? This consolidation here? Out of curiosity, I would love to hear from the audience real quick. Joseph Euler, thanks for the gifted sub. I greatly appreciate that. And thanks for being in Tom's Run for 6+ months with the XRP Predictor. Along with Frankie Fresh, and Marco, and the Cannabis Podcast. Thank you also for being part of Tom's Run for 6+ months with the XRP Predictor. Frankie Fresh, give Janine my love and Happy New Year, Janine. And Frankie, thank you so much. Dirty Train, thanks for being in Tom's Run for 6+ months with the XRP Predictor as well. And Happy New Year to you. And Joseph, gifted sub to Medic Kush. Congratulations on getting the first gifted sub of the new year. Hopefully there will be many more of those to help push around the community. I really appreciate that, Mr. Euler. And congratulations, Medic and Tom's Army, for your second month now with the Dusty's Outhouse Crypto News. Kind of feels like a falling wedge to me, which means this is a bullish consolidation. And you get confirmation when you get over 1139. Well, that's your signal to get in. Once it breaks over this. Now, you can have fake outs, but this is your signal to get in. Then you would expect a push up probably to the 200 and a harsh back test, but you're already in on the signal. So, you know, it's one of those you can get in, and then if it were to break back down, it would be your choice. But that's why you like that zone where it breaks past, because then in theory you can ride it up, and then you can ride the consolidation, and then if it works out in your favor, it gets above the 200, and then it just rides out. And it gets to the top part of here, and we never back test this area, and we just run right through here real quick. And then we use the overall pattern formation to back test. But you see how wild this could get for H-bar. Once it breaks out of this small setting, it's an immediate start push up almost to 20 cents. That's why you got to be on the ball here if it starts to break up. We're significantly oversold in the weekly. Daily is still a problem, but I've seen the daily react, and it's not as bad as it looks. The 4-hourly's got room to run. 3-hourly's overbought, but who cares? These things run up. Like these smaller time frames, if you're looking for this move, you should ignore it for the most part, except for entry. But even that, it can get noisy. Monthly's oversold. Is that a good monthly candle? No, it's not a good monthly candle. In fact, it's the way it started is it's one of those candles that it leads you to believe that you could, in theory, come down here and retest that wick low. So, which means that this month, even if we get upward volatility, by the time we get to the end of the month, it's probably going to go back in the other direction if this plays out. That's an engulfing candle, almost as bad as it can be to the downside to start the month. So, the definition of no man's land was created for the time period in crypto we're in right now. But remember, you know, the true wealth is made when you're in the bearish siphonings, when most people are afraid to make a move, or they make it too early or too late. They don't wait for any kind of signal. Like for me, for H-bar, all it's got to do is get above 1139. That's all it's got to do. All it's got to do. And this is the case where you let it work. Just let it work. If you're looking for some kind of signal, some kind of cue, let it work. Or if it doesn't work and it breaks down, you wait for the opposite reaction. So unless it's a bullish overtake, well, then you wait for a bearish retest, which, well, it's not a bearish, but it's a bearish drop down to the support structure, which would probably get you down somewhere near 9.5 cents. Either way, you shouldn't care which way it does it. You just want confirmation one way or the other. Because then it becomes a buy, support, sell, resistance, buy, support, sell, resistance, till resistance breaks or support falls. Rinse and repeat. That should be your motto this year. Understanding support resistance. Even when people criticize me, they at least give me credit for one thing. They say I have the best support resistance lines. And I have a big emphasis on it because the rest of the chart's important, but unless you know the immediate support resistance, who cares about the macro? And if you don't understand the macro after the micro, who cares about the micro? What's our vision in 2026? Our vision is to understand the micro to get to the macro, and to understand the macro to show the importance of the micro. It's so crazy how that works when you start to credit both sides equally. So the micro is telling us when we get that signal, you play it into a deeper play if it can break out, and then you get the ultimate push up if we can get above that 200, and then we would start rocking towards 21. You'll be amazed how quickly we can get there if we can get past these zones. But you'll be amazed if it doesn't, how quickly it can fall down another 15, 20, percent almost routinely. So, it's one of those things. Let's see. It's all an illusion. UK Phil, thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I told you so badge. Said AIO, it's all an illusion, says AIOZ filled a weekly FEG this morning from a big move in Q4 2023. There's an even bigger one underneath at 0.05-ish, but intriguing nonetheless. Yeah, obviously, that's the problem here. We're so much in no man's land right now. And it's almost scary when it does this on a day when we know the markets are closed. I think all eyes are going to be on silver tomorrow, which I can already tell you it's going to start down. Silver's future's under 71 right now. I think it's at like $70.56. It's going to be super volatile. And they've raised again the capital requirements to hold the call options. They raised it another 9%. They had raised it 25%. Now it's another 9% they raised it. Which means if you hold call options on silver, you have to put 9% more to keep it open. So what do you think most people did with the 25%, now the 9%? They're closing these, and you know what this is? This is an artificial, overzealous taking to lower the price of silver. Because most people would sell those because the call options are on 3,000 ounces of silver, basically. I believe it is. So that's a lot of money. So when you force closure of that big of options, it's a lot. It might even have been 3,000 kilos, not 3,000 ounces. I can't remember which one it was now. Yeah, I'm not about buying bags of anything anymore about just because the price is low. I am looking at the Xxxa strategy. I'm getting rid of all the noise this year. And it's XRP, XLM, XDC, H-bar, and ALGO to the death, unless for some reason IOTA gets listed on KRAKEN, and then it can be part of it. The moment they list it on KRAKEN, yeah. So, speaking of the Xxxa strategy, what are we looking for ALGO? Well, ALGO is starting off very nicely, but remember, we still got confirmation. But look, we're at the bottom for ALGO. For all that we talked about when it was dangerous, it's filled. It's filled. Look at this. It's basic. Well, it hasn't filled at 100%, but it's basically almost come down here now. It came down to the support structure of the actual pattern. So you buy support, sell resistance, buy support. And this is a big spot for ALGO. Did I mention it was a big spot for ALGO? Can't remember if I said that or not during this live. Because if you look at this realistically and you look at the wicks that it bounced off of, it's so important what's going on here. If you're taking it from a level like this, because we've shown the other angle. If it's not taking it from that angle, and this, you would know this when we get rejected. If it's not taking it from this angle, which ultimately it probably isn't, it's probably going to take it from this way, which means there's a lot more bending over before we get to the actual probably where we want to go. But we can foster the illusion until it comes down that way, that's what we're doing right now. And I would like to foster that illusion until I can't anymore. So with that being said, with ALGO, you got 10.5, which it came down close to. And then you got 7.3. Preferably, I would love for it to come down to 7.3 and get a whole bunch of those. Especially if watch, this is what could happen too. Everybody's like, well, Tom, what's the worst case scenario in an alt season? Well, The worst case scenario would be like XRP or some of the others to repeat what they did before, but not in this cycle. It would be like, hey, we came all the way down here to 7 cents, right? And we fell out, and now we have to have an alt season, and then it does something like, what the hell is going on here? It does something like, let's go, let's just say it takes here. We do something like this, and people get excited, and then it starts bouncing around here for a while, and then before you know it, we're like, hey, it's alt season, and then it comes out like something like, hey, we're down here. I would hope it's not March of 2023, but I'm just saying from a price point. Yeah, let's not act like it's going to take that long, because it wouldn't. I would hate to get stuck in like an inside out wedge right there, because that's, you could potentially see that start, and I hate the inside out wedge, FYI. It's a pattern that it's a made up pattern that I talk about nonetheless. But if you're new, the inside out wedge isn't a technical pattern. It's something that I talk about, but it doesn't actually exist, but it does because it's there, but it's not technically there. It's in toms. This gives me more confidence. But basically you have a pattern and a pattern. So the support, boom, 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 boom. Well, one time you get this and you pull up and you're, that's interesting. We got to make a mental note of that. So now you start to go, okay, well, it doesn't matter here, but what if it goes, and then if it gets into the inside out wedge, that's what we hate. Because then, yeah, that's usually a bullish consolidation, but the problem is it opens up the door to these ridiculous drops and liquidation attempts, and we don't want to do that, but they're everywhere if this happens. So then it would all of a sudden open up the door to like 31, and then all of a sudden you could be down 50 from where we're at right now, and you're like, well, what the hell is going on now? And then all of a sudden you get these big wedges, and then this ends up happening. And I hope we don't go down. Well, maybe we hope we go down this, or don't hope. I don't know. I don't really know what I hope for. I just want to get as many as I possibly can. So so then you could have, this would be a better way to say this. So then you could have a cycle here where, let's just say the inside out wedge does something like this. And then all of a sudden, that's your breakout move from the inside out wedge. So then you have this fake alt season. And this would be worst case scenario if you did something like this. This makes a lot of sense. Then you go up like this. You're up like 200%. And you're like, oh my God. Everybody's like, oh my God, it's at 16.8 cents. You're like, what do you mean we're up 200%? You know, and that's something that could happen if this all goes to shit in crypto. If these regulations end up being a big slap in the face, which I think it's going to be ultimately. In an unregulated market, you don't want clarity acts. You don't want regulations. You know, you want the illusion, and you want to foster the illusion. The U.S. government and all governments of the world are as far away as possible. You're moving money on demand, or currency, you know, and you don't have to worry about all the nonsense of the standard system. Well, they're making it the standard system. So now a lot of people that would have been attracted to it are like, why would I trade this? Why don't I just trade the stock market and trade in Bitmine, or trade in MicroStrategies when it's way down, since they're the largest holder of Bitcoin? Or trade in BlackRock because they have a large holding of Bitcoin. Or trade in, you know, Tom Lee's company. I've been talking about it a lot lately because when I'm ready to buy, I don't buy Ethereum, but I'm telling you, I'm watching Bitmine because it's starting to get way oversold, and every single time in its history it comes down here, it has unethical movements. The only question to me is how much farther can it possibly come down if the market wants to do this? Now, yes, that could be a bear flag, and maybe we do come all the way back down to the bottom because the market continues to bottom. But at some point, that would be, instead of holding Ethereum, I would advise to hold that through the stock market. They're the world's largest holder of Ethereum. Just by virtue, by holding their company, you don't have to worry about all the crypto risk on the exchanges. Your stock brokerage is back $250K by the FDIC. So why run the risk of holding Ethereum if you wanted it? Why not just, I hate Ethereum, but if I was going to own anything Ethereum, that's what I would do. So that's another thing we'll keep tapping into in 2026. What others can do to hold crypto without actually being on the exchanges. That's something we have to understand because it's becoming farther and farther, or more and more a part of this game and strategy for institutions. BlackRock has their hands in more ways than you can already understand, Elmer, with XRP. But it's... Algo is massive. It's massive. Not a lot of people give it credit, but it is massive. And yeah, I like the 5.6% move today. I just wish it wouldn't have come after an 11% drop. But think about it. Are these starting to do what ALGO or XDC did a couple days ago? I would have had a 10% drop basically when everything else was still steady. Now all these had a drop down. While maybe is that the same thing ALGO was doing? I mean, XDC was doing. Obviously, ultimate confirmation can't come up until much higher, but you're not waiting until ultimate confirmation to get through this. Oh no, you want to be in this well before ultimate compensation or confirmation. So right now for Algo, we're looking, if you're paying attention, you're looking for a small confirmation here. You've already bounced off of a very important level on a triple bottom. Very important level. Oh, I can't even tell you how important this level was. 2 hourly, we're already trying to get through, but this is where you can get in trouble here in the short term if you're trying to buy candles. Because at some point, we should get confirmation in the short term. So if you're trying to buy a candle, my suggestion would be, at some point, if I was a betting man, I would say we're going to back test. Even if it runs up a little more here, we're going to back test this eventual 20 crossing the 50 in the 30 minute. Because this is your first real instance where you would have a golden cross, and this would be where you're trying to have a short-term pattern flip. So I would imagine you'd have to back test 1146 or wherever this ends up meeting. So basically, and we'll go to the next one, this is going to start straggling, and this is going to start running up, and eventually it's going to meet. So this could come up like this, and then it comes and meets at something like this. You don't know. But it's going to try to meet, sometimes it has overzealous, but you're going to try to meet that move. And then oftentimes that'll meet the demand there, and then it'll push up, and then the next layer would be here, and then you do a similar, and then you come back down. You know, it often runs in symmetry. Remember the trading bots. Just remember the trading bots we always talk about. If you remember the trading bots, you understand why this kind of micromanagement happens all the time. You know, and it'll just, here, I got to get rid of all this crap that I circled before. But that's the triple bottom we've been talking about. If it holds that area, it's such a huge area for Algo. I would still love to see these exhaustion wicks filled out because it came so close. Does it have to happen? No, but it would destroy all that liquidity that's being built right now. My yard now, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army 3+ months with the XRP Meteor. It's all an illusion. Thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge. Says, if silver were to back test the all-time high breakout, it would be really good for crypto and a good opportunity for people who miss silver. Huge if though. Yes, and it probably will back test some. The way they're doing this with the margin requirements going up, that's how you set up a drop again. But I've been talking about how last January we were flipping into miners and precious metals. I think this January we really have to pay attention to crypto because of how oversold we are. It's the exact scenario we were talking about in miners last year is what's going on in crypto. So the people who are all phased out and just worn out by 25, crypto being like the only thing down. If you look across the board, the NASDAQ was up, the S&P was up, the Russell was up, you know, gold was up, silver, copper, you know, emerging markets were way up. You got a lot of different things like mutual funds. You were crushing it last year by indexes if you did it properly in the growth and the emerging markets and in the value and all that crap, which the value and growth are going to get fucking crushed, I think, this year. So I don't think that's the way to go this year. I think emerging markets continue to be the way to go in mutual funds, and you should ignore all else that are within this country. So growth stocks, all that other junk, I think that's eventually going to get people hung upside down. But yeah, it's good for crypto because now we're oversold in crypto. That's why I'm not trying to be biased, negative Tom. I want to be positive because we're at that point where we all know we're getting close to something bigger. And nobody says we have to finish out the Elliott wave, 5 waves. We could absolutely stop it in the middle and show such a bullish positioning by breaking out of a bearish 5 wave and starting like an ABC up, and then all of a sudden expand out of that instead of correcting and then having like there's so many different ways to, hey, we have an XYZ. But the Elliott wave theory is just a theory, which when I do my classes, we're going to dig deeper into the Elliott wave. But that goes within symmetry. You know, you can't start trading the Elliott wave until you know how to start trading. You can't start trading until you know how to read a chart. You can't start reading a chart until you know how to open a chart. You can't start opening a chart until you know where to download the chart. You can't download the chart until you know what kind of technology to have to use it. You can't have technology until you understand what kind of... It's all... If we back engineer it together, you know, that's the way to do it. That's the way to do it. And my idea, instead of making people go to Zoom and try to figure out, because a lot of people want classes, and I'm willing to do it, but I think I came up with a better idea on YouTube. And yeah, it's a different category, and you won't even know it's on YouTube unless you join it. But I'm going to make a separate category on YouTube, and it's going to be a paid category, the $50 like the class, like we were going to do, like I was going to do off. And you're going to see people that aren't in this community, because this is something I was going to do outside of what I do here instead of having to be like an analyst or something stupid. Anyhow, but I was going to do the category on here, and then that would allow you, I would post it during the lives. Only you can see it. All that is saved on YouTube, because there's many problems in many different countries, many different things with the payment process. There's a lot of different rules and regulations going in again this year across the borders. So I think that's what I'm going to do. So then it would have an ever-building database in here, but only for the members who pay for that. And we would have the live classes starting on the date that I talk about. I think this is what I need to do so that we can do it, so you don't have to have 500 different steps. Everybody's on different time zones. So that's what I think I'm going to do. You know, and I would love input, but we're literally starting from the basics. We've gone over it, and it's going to take a long time to get through it, but I think this is the way. And then anybody who joined along the way can go back in the database and catch up, and then they can, you know, however it goes. But that's my idea, and that's what I think I'm going to do after having meetings and things like that with Zoom. It's just, I don't want to make everybody's 2026 an impossible feat. So I think that's what I want to do in that regard. But anyhow, that's all I'm going to talk about that, because everybody's just going to leave. Mrs. Strat, welcome in, and thanks for being in town during 3+ months with the XRP Meteor, along with Tom Cross. A-Man, thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So Bads. Brian, welcome in. Almer, thanks for tuning in. Crypto Plumber, thanks for being in Tom's Army 6+ months with the XP Predictor, along with Marco. Who else did I miss? Mr. and Mrs. Stott and Maple Man, thanks for being in Tom's Army 3+ months with the XRP Meteor. Whoppin', good morning. And Happy New Year, everybody who's tuning in. I greatly, 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 greatly appreciate everybody in here. And let's continue on the Xxha strategy. So we did XRP, H-bar, algo, and we talked about where we have confirmation and reality. We're going to get back into XRP, believe me. But as it is, I would like to continue to talk about this. Oh, I was hoping somebody would have a thought about what I said, but I don't know if anybody has a thought. More, I think 12% of the people left. I think that speaks volumes. Keep your mouth shut is what it says. Let's see. XLM, it's already back tested this exact area. And now I mean, if we look at it just like we did with the falling wedge within the pattern, like we did with H-bar, I mean, I could almost make the case that's a liquidity zone right there. If we stay within there, we're fine. But if you start to attach this now outside of the liquidity zone, you could almost say by tapping into there, we're finishing off a falling wedge. That's interesting, actually, when you look at it like that. I kind of think that is what it's doing. Could you drag it from here and make that work? Holy hell, you can. With that last drop point, it validated that thought process. I think that's a falling wedge. That's an extremely bullish consolidation. Oh, buddy. 21.6 cents. And you're in no man's land here, but... Man, oh man. That is interesting. What do you guys think? Does that look like a falling wedge? Do these look like falling wedges? If these are falling wedges, ching to start 26. Those confirmation drops are phenomenal. These are phenomenal consolidations. These are what we want to see. Let's put this in. Not red. That doesn't show up very good either. Let's see. I can live with that. I can live with that. The hot pink. We're going to enlighten this pattern. Just wow. You want to talk about a gift to start 2026 if this is the case? And silver's back testing a breakdown now, and the futures is under 71. People are like, well, why are you so happy if you have... Because now the next sector that we own can start to heat up. Oh, you feel that? It's like the whole 2025 was a trap, and 2026 is starting with a kick. But we can't jump the gun and get all excited before we can. But I can tell you right now, if we break out of this falling wedge, there's some movement here to come. Movement. And the good news is, just like with H bar, you got to break above here before you can even get to the 200-day. And that's at 22. You want to be as close to this bottom area at this wedge. So 19.6 seems to be the floor right now on the wedge. That is interesting. Yep, that's what I'm talking about. I hustle harder than you. It's got to prove it right now, so I'm not going to jump the gun. I'm showing everybody the falling wedges because there is a case to be made that the market is a bitch and it could just come back down in the USA hours. We understand that. But we have to be optimistic. And my optimism is in the Xxxa strategy. I know it sounds interesting, but it's simple. It's so simple. It's something I came up with years ago with the tokens, and now it's just a matter of riding it home, not caring about the noise, not caring about all the other possible good tokens, because you know what? In my experience, the only thing that gets you in trouble is going off your game plan because of all the tokens you hear about that aren't part of your own plan, but you want to all of a sudden have some kind of bravado with it. I am personally, and it's no offense to anybody, I don't care about your plan. I can't care about your plan, just like you can't care about my plan. My only plan when you come in here, and you've noticed, even the ones that I really liked, like band and stuff, you don't see a list anymore because I have to take it out of my visuals. I literally have in my visuals XRP, XLM, XDC, HBAR, and ALGO is my plan in 2026. Anything else that I had, like CRO, can sit there. Like Epic can sit there on Crypto.com with VeChain. Those are there. And that's, well, and XRP Healthcare, but that's past stuff, you guys remember. But this is the real strategy now for me. The other ones I put there and they can sit there and they can all go to zero. And if that happens, it happens. Whatever. But this is my strategy. I have my funds available to do with what I will. Some things like XRP, I don't have to do anything, as you know, because I already did a long time ago. Some of these other ones I've shuffled in and out. And now it's just a matter of confirmation to actually do what needs to be done. And we're close. We're very close. We've talked about it on ALGO where we need to be. Well, we did. I don't know what the heck happened here. Oh, I did it in the very small time frame. Whoops. I tried to draw it like that from a different standpoint. All right. So it's a lot of things, but I could certainly see here. Everybody gets excited in the USA, and then all of a sudden we go back for that back test of the breakout this morning, or at least how we talked about once we get that golden cross movement. So I could certainly see that happening. So I just want to see this play out. It's a very exciting reversal, though. Very exciting. After 5 years of bull talk, I don't care when it happens anymore. I'm so sad that all you've heard is bullish talk the last 5 years. I wish you were in my community sooner. I was the bearish bitch they called me in here back in 22, 23 until March. How after 21's top, I became the bearish bitch for like the night. That people used to type it in the chat all the time. Forget the bearish bull, he's the bearish bitch. That's bearish bitch Tom. Oh, I used to love that. But you know, that helped me understand like exactly what we needed to do here. There's a reason why we have to be so honest. And that's why we gotta stay focused. And I promise you, the more of you stay in here this year, the more you're gonna get. And the more you bet on yourself, the more you're gonna get. The more you bet on me, the more you're gonna get. It's that simple. With XRP, it's gonna be that same, I think, that same thing. We're going to be so oversold here that we're eventually going to have whether we break up here, this is where we have to be. That's your back test of the drop. Like you have a wick, up, down. One would say here, but you also have to break here and test this because you had the consolidation after a pushback up, break down. Now you push through and you want to retest all the way up so you don't have any gaps left. So if you're going to break down here, I mean, it's come up to the spot. This is why we are at such a crucial point this morning, because if we were going to break down, it's come up to the retracement perfectly. So let's just make sure we get above. Oh, I hate that the names are so messed up. John Wiseman, back since 2021, I believe, or 22. You've been here for a long time. Long time. I wish that it wouldn't change the names on me so much. I completely forgot that was John. See, that's why it's frustrating. I got to know people through the names, and now I'm learning them again, but it's so hard because there's so many different people that are in this community. Wow. So you've been through the ringer. You've got to see a lot play out. Yes, but remember, tax harvesting does work both ways. If you were down, you would have traded out yesterday. Now when you're up, you generally look for the rally, and then most people who didn't want to take that hit in 25, but they're willing to do it in 26 so they can wait a whole tax season, now would be the time T plus 1 day. Well, I don't think it applies in the stock market, or in the crypto market, but they could do it. They could do this. They could do that and sell it out on this side. So sometimes they call it the suckers rally when the new year starts because it's just people trying to fluff up the market for a couple of days so that they can now take their gains that they're waiting to take from 25. So there's a lot of stuff that we watch here. That's why I like confirmation. Confirmation is the way. And I like the way we're transitioning though. Oh, it's a much better feel today after that little bottoming yesterday. We knew it was coming, but we hate watching it. For XDC, I mean, the same argument's going to continue to be made. Is it going to come up to 5.5, which it's starting to trend towards that way, or are we going to come down to 4.7 for a back test of the micro breakout? Now, the good news about these micro setups is that maybe it does need to come up higher, and then we'll get on top of it into this. I call that right there. I could consider that the expansion, the breakout, or however you want to label it. You can call it the expansion zone. You can call it the supply zone. You can call it the distribution zone. You can call it the contraction zone when we get. I don't care what you call it, but there's going to be massive liquidity in that entire box, and that's why I drew it like that. And we're going to make it or break it right there. So, you know, whether or not we come back to 4.7 is really irrelevant. If you're not next DC, 4.7 would be a good area to look if we were to drop down. But a better area to be if you're not in would be confirmation over this 5.5. It's only 5.5 cents, people, if you're not in it. To get confirmation that cheap, if we were to get a breakout and then start pushing up towards the actual big resistance, it's something we shouldn't ignore. Like that next big area is almost at 2.5 times it. Like, and there's no big area before that. There isn't. As much as there isn't. It's such a good. I wish people. It almost makes my heart like, oh my God. I feel like I'm with a lot of these, like with ALGO, with HBAR, with XDC, with X. It's like looking at XRP yesterday, or yesteryear when we were looking at it at 30 cents. I feel it. It's like, oh my God, Tom, remember in 22 when you were talking about these numbers and 21 and people thought you were nuts that it'd be down 90, 95, 98%? It's there, buddy. You're there. You're in that area. Rick says, and Rick, thanks for being a very trusted mod in here for years. Said, let's start the new year with everyone hitting the likes and please subscribe and support the stream. Thanks. Oh, that would be a blessing. For each person who supports my stream and subscribes and becomes a paid subscriber, it allows me the ability to do this the way I want to do it. It really does. But this fractal is starting to transition to breakout part. It sure is. I hustle harder than you. That's why if we can get these breakouts, we're cooking. We would be cooking. We're starting to transition from the bearish side of the thesis, indeed. And now can we actually get this expansion here? This is why confirmation's important, but you can definitely, remember how we keep saying, you have to have, you want to be optimistic, but you want to have cautious optimism. Right now, the caution could very well be leaving the building, but remember, the USA right now is fully engaged. Tom, why wait? It looks like a good price now. Who cares? I'm not telling you to wait or not. I'm just saying where confirmation's at. Why wait? Well, the illusion would be right now, if we don't break out of these wedges, well, then you can come back down to the actual support again, and that would be the ideal buying spot within a falling wedge. But yeah, because normally from a technical aspect, you're either buying the support of the pattern or buying the breakout of the pattern. Being in the middle of it or towards the top puts you in a weird spot. So it's bad technical, it's bad fundamentals from a investing standpoint. You have to have rules to trading. And if you don't have rules, you get wrecked. And if you get wrecked, you can't trade because you have no portfolio. And with no portfolio, you have to work more. And if you have to work more, you can do this less. And if you do this less, it's a never-ending cycle. You can never get involved. Welcome to 95% of the world who can't get involved because that exact cycle played out or they haven't had the ability. I used to be in that camp for most of my life. But you know, I know that's going to be hard to understand for some, but it's the truth. You have to have you just have to have good fundamentals. Otherwise, it's an emotional response. I believe today, if you didn't buy the drop, it's just an emotional response on green. Like, honestly, if you're buying algo at 1167, my only question would be what was stopping you from buying it at the support tab? You know, when it came down to this support rate here at about, what was this? Around 11 cents, 1092. You know that, and the only reason it's relevant is because it's in the same candle in the daily. So what was stopping you from buying it down here? Is it because it's becoming greener and greener? And that's where you can get in trouble because at some point we know that we're going to have to pull back for a second and test the micro breakouts, unless it just goes unabated with volume. So then we look at volume, and that doesn't seem to be the case right now. Yes, it's a little bit growing in the 30-minute, but it's not very good. Which means to me it would probably backtest. So even if you're watching this, you're probably going to get an opportunity around 1150. So either, you know, it's like almost like a freight train when it starts running. You can put a lot of stuff in front of it, but it's going to be hard to stop it. But when it stops, it's going to be hard to get it going again. So you kind of want to get it going when it's in that back. Like, hey, we're trying to get it going, so it keeps leaning back just a little bit, almost like a slingshot. And the slingshot can only go back so far before the rubber band either breaks. And what I'm hopeful for in 26 is it's come back so far and it's pulling so far. Oh man, it's the torque. You gotta have so much torque here to pull this back that we get a little bit of a relief here in wave 4. Hey man, thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I told you so bad. It says Bitcoin and micro bear flag, 3-minute. Apex looks around 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time daily candle. I wouldn't mind if we had some consolidation today working into the candle tonight. I hate that this all happened, though. The only reason I don't like what's happening is because it's a very easy day to manipulate the market, one way or the other. One way or the other. But I know we have good strategy going forward. I know this community. I believe in this community. You know, I think we know what we're doing in 26, and I think if you stick with the strategy, and yeah, your strategy is going to be different than mine, but I know personally, if I stick to the strategy that I've been talking about here, it's going to benefit so much and so many people in so many different areas. Yeah, I've seen some people ask about rhodium, and that's got to be a glitch because it's only like that on the Kitco. It's not the rhodium price. I know what it's showing on Kitco's thing because I seen it yesterday, but it's impossible. That pricing is impossible because unless they literally did the craziest drop in the history of metals and actually dropped it 80 something percent. It closed much more. Like, we can go into the rhodium futures.
Technically, there is no official futures market for rhodium.
I know, the actual
Unlike
price.
Gold, silver, or platinum.
Just want to know the actual price.
That $9,100 figure is an accurate middle ground representation of the market right now. As of January 1st, 2026, rhodium is showing some healthy volatility. While there is no single futures price, the spot market benchmarks are hovering right around your number. Johnson Matthey, currently quoting $9,175. This is the gold standard for industrial contracts.
Okay, so, I mean, we'll see what happens when everything comes online tomorrow, but there's some weird stuff going on in the metals market. That is for sure. Mark Casson, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge. Won't be able to get enough, so we'll only add tax. There's nothing wrong with that, Elmer. There's nothing wrong with that. You don't have to. I want it to unified XRP, XLM, XDC. Those are any one of the three X's you can't miss. You can't miss, in my opinion. You cannot miss. XRP may it have less upside than XDC. I don't know. But it feels like to me XDC definitely has a lot more potential versus XRP because of price point. XLM also feels like that's the case as well because historically, when I was doing this show historically, it used to be about 4.25 to 1 to XRP. A lot of times that was the price differential. Like when we were at 34 cent XRP, XLM was around 8.5, 9 cents. About 4 to 1, it seemed good. Right now it's 9 to 1. So when you look at it like the gold silver ratio, right now the advantage would be XLM's way out of base. It would be like XLM silver to XRP being gold. And you can look at that. Look at it like XRP's $1,862 like gold was, and XLM's $20 an ounce for silver. If you look at it in that regard, you can start to kind of look at it and be like, you know what? That kind of makes sense here. Look how undervalued it is from that standpoint. Which means that it would be like a 90 to 1 right now. Well, wait a minute. It might be worse. No, it'd be about a 90 to 1. So if you look at it like that, you start to look at the value of XLM versus XRP if you're not a holder yet. If I wasn't holding XRP and I was given a choice between XRP, XLM, and XDC, it's tough what I would do. I know I wouldn't buy XRP likely, and that makes everybody like, what are you talking about? But I have a pure basis. It's the same reason why I was buying silver instead of gold when everybody was going after gold towards the end of 22 when silver was 16, 17, 19, and gold was 1900, 1800. It's like, there's so much more upside in silver here. It's at 100 and something to 1, 97 to 1. It's like the same thing in XLM. The XLM ratio is out of whack. It's crazy out of whack. It's like 90 to 1 in the XRP XLM ratio. The weekly is so oversold that it makes me almost want to, my eyes pop out of my head. The monthly, There's only a few times in my history of covering this on this channel that we've ever seen this. And the other times we've seen it, that it was a different ratio. Back in 21, the ratio, it was way up here before the breakout. I mean, it was all the way up at 22. That means it was like at a 22, that means it was more like a 4.8 to 1, 4.7 to 1. I mean, we're at 9 to 1. It's screaming at us right now in the ratio to buy XLM. It's like buy silver instead of gold, even though gold is the sought after one, XRP. XLM's like silver, everybody. We've only seen it in the last time it was this bad. There's no other time in history to point to it this cheap versus XRP. And some people can say, oh, it doesn't have utility. We know that's not true. You know, it's not true. There's so much stuff that goes this. You know the truth. You know why they did it. I tell you it every day. It's a psyop, ladies and gentlemen. Now they control every punch in the game. They branched off so they can control this entire segment of this market. It's so genius. And they were able to do it in a construct of he can only, Jed McHale can sell only so many per month. The exact cost it was costing to fund Ripple's and sellers' networks and their upgrades. It was brilliant. Instead of Ripple giving all the money to XLM and making it look like they built a new thing, and they just had him sell it monthly so he could build the ecosystem of Stellar and Lumens to grow the expand. It was brilliant. Brilliant. I guarantee you I'm going to be talking a ton about XLM this year. A ton about XDC this year. No more noise. No more 5,000 different tokens. No more I like this token, but it's not in the plan. And if it goes up, God bless it. I hope it does so people can make a bunch of money. I have a unified approach this year, and I don't care what happens outside of it. I don't. I want to be that voice of reason when it comes to a plan. For not just you, but myself as well. If I have a plan, oh my goodness, we're going to succeed so much. And that's not being big-headed, but I'm very stubborn. And I stick to a routine like you couldn't believe. Heck, I work out for the last almost 4 years now. The weightlifting and all this other stuff. Go look back at my videos from a few years ago. I look compared to now. I fast 16 hours a day for almost 4 years now. I have not taken a break from that, and I never will. I'm very stubborn. I like consistency. So I'm seeing what I need to see. I've never been more excited in this space and more petrified of this space because of what's coming with regulation. But I know there's this last run. I know we're going to get this. Even if the big wigs sell out, we get the last expansion phase. And we're going to get one grand deception because it's just impossible not to, because the government's not going to lose. And MicroStrategy and Michael Saylor are controlled opposition, which means the government is going to need a epic, all-inspiring, all euphoric rally going into midterms. And then when all this stuff goes into place in 27 and 28, their strategy's already being laid out for retail as they suckered them out right now before probably a massive alt season that'll happen in time. They'll sucker everybody out before the time's right. And then everybody's going to be afraid to buy in, and then they'll come back in at the perfect moment. The perfect moment for them to drop the hammer. Again, I will say it again. XLM versus XRP is at about a point where you could see a historic rally versus XRP. One never seen in its history, ever. With price appreciation. And that doesn't mean XRP's not going up. But I can tell you right now, XLM is close to breaking out of this in a very big way. It's on the top side of this consolidation right now, and that is a place you want to be as an XLM holder. If it holds. Let me tell you. This would be nothing short of spectacular. Call it your 2026 miracle if this plays out. So then you ask me, well, Tom, is it better to buy XLM or XDC versus XRP right now? That is an excellent question. Okay, how long have I been on?
Oh.
At 54 minutes.
It doesn't tell me anymore when I look at your videos.
That I'm live?
Or how long you've been.
I know, because it's shadow banning me from you. See, Julie can't even see it. That's why it's a miracle that 110 of you have found your way to this live. Even Julie can't see the real truth about the live. It's a shame. My significant other. That's not fair. Rick says hello, Julie. So when we look, she says hello, everybody. When we look at it now, XDC versus XRP, we see something a little different here. It's significantly overbought in the weekly. That tells you that XLM's got some big balls of versus XRP coming up here. That 9-to-1 is out of whack. That 9-to-1 is out of whack, and this could simply mean that XDC is going to keep going up, but XRP is going to ramp it up a little bit in the short term versus XDC. But I'm telling you, XLM, if you look at it as silver and gold, $20 an ounce versus $1,800 and something an ounce of gold for XRP. It's not gold or silver. I'm just telling you to look at it in that aspect. You can start looking and going, holy Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. So I think this was a great live. I think you understand what we're looking at. I really do. You know my positioning. You know my holders. You know my outlook. You know why I'm so excited. You know my strategy. It's up to you to employ it. I'm not a financial advisor, so today I'm not talking about my portfolio at all, except the Xxha strategy is my 2026 strategy that we have imposed starting yesterday when the price is right. Some could have been the price is right already with the drop. A lot of assumptions can be made as well. I'm giving you the proper technicals without the emotional response right now for you to make an educated, informed decision. If you want to hear a little bit deeper about what my portfolio entails, you know, if you're part of my class, I'll break it down step by step as well. There'll be a lot more information to come, and that's going to be ramping up very quickly now that I figured out a way to do this. If you're not interested, I completely understand. There'll be a subcategory on YouTube. That's the way I'm going to do it. I've made my decision. And if we have 5 people, I'll be happy, and we'll grow it from there. But it's going to be like I talked about. There's going to be 8 classes a month. It's 8 hours a day. We're going to do it off the exchange, off of this site. But I'm going to do it on here. I think it's $50 a month. It's all included. There's going to be a database. You can go back and watch it anytime. You know, you can join and you can be a part of it. We're going to go through it in slow motion. It's not just crypto. This is taking a class like being in a virtual class. I'm going to have the proper setup. I'm going to have the proper tech. It's going to be everything. And I'm going to do it here to make it easier. But you're going to have to be in the paid subscriber category. And it's all going to be tailored in that little area. Same as what I talked about before. $50 a month for 8 classes a month. That's 8 hours of class time a month. And generally this would take 5 to 6 months if we do it right. But it starts from the extreme basics. And this can be an everlasting thing now that it's on YouTube. And there will be a database for everybody else. So that's what I'm going to do. You know, and then it's not involving a payment processor. It's all taxed. Yada, yada, yada. That's what I would do. Oh, you're asking about what everybody else is saying. I apologize. Got caught up in your conversation. So that's what I think I'm going to do. And then if there's no interest, then I won't do it. But I think I still would do it just for myself and build a database. And then in the future, people that were interested could always join it and go watch it later or whatever. So I think that's what I'm going to do. That's going to be my way around doing paid advertising on YouTube and going to get another job as a financial advisor. I've gotten a lot of interest and a lot of offers for jobs based around what people see on YouTube, which is I find fascinating. Like this is just a running resume. And you'd be surprised who comes into this space. But yeah, like just being a technical advisor in the financial advising field and taking a certified paid class that they would pay for. But yeah, that's what I'm going to do because I don't want everybody to have to go to a payment processor and go to a third party and do all this crap when we're already on YouTube. But it's going to be its own subcategory, so nobody's even going to know it exists. I prefer to talk about it very minimally on the lives. Even if you're a part of the class when it starts, we're not going to talk about it. It's going to be our own category, and you're the only ones who are going to be able to see it when it comes live. You're going to know the time, so you're going to know when to look for it as well. but you're going to be the only ones. It'll be very unified, streamlined process. And we can grow together in 26. That's my goal of expansion. And to keep as much information as I can, as this is my platform, this is my home. And even if I'm venturing out and trying to teach outside of this to people who want to learn a little bit differently and want to learn a little bit deeper and in a different fashion, because a lot of people who watch this just want to see XRP and crypto, so you can't do what I want to do in that regard. But this is going to be such a unified experience that I'm telling you, this is going to be something special. And if you're a part of it, you're a part of it. And it's just going to be something that I've been wanting to do. So, no, they're not going to pay premiums at all if you're trading in your Eagles or any kind of silver. You eat that premium. They'll probably charge you a premium just to try to buy. Well, I mean, they're charging you to buy stuff, obviously, but right now everything's looking perfect. They just please consider everything I said in this live. I'm gonna go. I don't want to give you guys too much, you know, and confuse you. But that's what I got. That's where we're going. I'm gonna go watch the college playoff game. Hopefully, some of you will be a part of the class. Hopefully, some of you will reach out. But you'll hear more about this very quickly in the next couple of days to come, as you're gonna start to see postings about it. Now that I figured out a way